If it's news to you that you're supposed to have more than 1 or 2 pairs of running shoes in your rotation, you are not alone. It's only been in the last couple of years that I actually added more shoes to my rotation than just my one tried and true pair. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what types of shoes you should have in your rotation, including what I use and why it's so important to be rotating your running shoes. So one way to maintain a healthy body and stay injury-free and get the most out of each type of your runs is to rotate your running shoes. So the reason that rotating your running shoes can help you stay injury-free is because each shoe is just a little bit different depending on its stack height, its cushioning, its drop from heel to toe, and each of those little nuances puts different pressures on your body depending on which muscles it's using a little bit more and which joints. And yes, overall running, you're using the same areas of your body, but even just those little tweaks and little differences of a shoe can make the difference of keeping your body strong, along with many other things that you should be doing, such as getting good sleep and strength training, mobility work, and all of that, right? So this is just one way to improve that. On top of that, not every run you're doing has the same purpose. You're going to be having your easy runs and your recovery runs where you should be going slow, and then you're going to have your speed work and your races where you're wanting to be going fast. Well, not every shoe lends itself to going slow or going fast. So in this video, let's talk about all of these shoes that I'm rotating through. Make sure you're sticking it out to the end, because if you don't want to buy all of these shoes, I totally get that. And you might be in a position where you really don't need 5 pairs of shoes. So I will tell you what options you have there. If you guys are getting value out of this video as we go along, if you can press the like button below, it really helps my channel and I would appreciate it very much. So first we're gonna be talking about the recovery shoe. Now, no, recovery runs are not glamorous and sexy, but you need to be doing them. So I talk about in another video how important recovery runs are. I will link that here, but these are going to be the slowest runs of your week. You should be doing these the day after every really, really hard effort, such as a long run or speed work or something like that. So on these recovery run days, you want to be choosing the max cushion shoe that you possibly can. Okay, it's going to force you to slow down, and it's going to feel really, really good on your feet when they're feeling sore and when your muscles and your joints are achy after those hard efforts. That's very, very normal. And so you want to be making sure on those recovery runs you have something with a lot of cushioning that's going to support your body. So what I have here is the Altra 4.5 plush, and they don't actually make this shoe anymore, but you can still absolutely find them. They just discontinued them. They're changing things up a little bit there with the Touring, but I would highly recommend looking into this shoe, and you can probably get a good deal on them right now as well. And if you want to check out my full Altra rotation, I do have a video just on Ultras. So if you're interested in this shoe, I would highly recommend that video. If you're not an Altra person, there are plenty of other choices, obviously, of shoes out there. I have the Hoka Bondi, I'm not even sure how to say it. These are actually an older model, but they still absolutely sell this. This is their max cushion shoe, and it will be great for any of those recovery days. And like a lot of people say when they're talking about the shoes, it's like running on clouds. That's how I would describe this shoe, honestly. Okay, so next we're going to talk about your daily trainer. So when we're talking about most of your daily runs, you're going to be running these in an easy paced zones. This also includes many of your long runs that are supposed to be at that long, slow distance. So whereas you don't probably want to choose the same shoe as your recovery day, because those are just a little bit too cushioned, you want to go for something that has more of a mid-level of cushioning that kind of is right there in the middle between a slow shoe and a fast shoe, right? So for this, I like to go for the Altra Touring. This is, I think, like 3.5 older model. So I really like to look for deals on older models. Highly recommend it. It's a great way to save money. But they do have the Altra Touring 5 that recently came out. So I would look into that as a daily trainer. I'm sure that's an awesome one. And this is different than the Touring 4.5 plush. It doesn't have as much cushioning on the bottom. So this is the daily trainer that I like to go for those longer runs, but I also have a very versatile shoe, the Altra Escalante. This one has less cushioning, but this is kind of my tried and true pair that I've used for a really long time. I love the Escalante. I keep coming back to it, and I would say it's just good for in the middle, and it's easy to slow down, go a little bit faster when your daily runs call for a little bit of those changes. Hey, what my husband likes to use for these slower daily runs are his Brooks Ghosts. And guys, as I'm talking about, if you're saying, what, you're supposed to be running slow for your daily runs? Yes, you should be spending 80% of your running time in a slow paced zone. If you don't believe me, make sure you check out this video where I talk about it a lot. Okay, so the Brooks Ghost is another great example. And again, guys, there's so many more shoes than I could be explaining in this video. We could go on for hours and hours. Just kind of get the general idea of what you're looking for. So this is a mid-cushion shoe. You can definitely feel that cushioning underneath, but it's also not going to slow you down too much. You can pick up the pace when and if you need to. All right, guys, so next let's get into your Speedwork and Tempo shoe. So on these days, you're obviously going to want to pick up the pace a little bit, right? But you also don't want to be wearing your racing shoe yet. A good thing to look for in your Speedwork or Tempo shoe is a nylon plate.
So good examples of this would be the Saucony Endorphin Speed or the Nike Zoom Tempo.
Those have a nylon plate that gives you that kind of extra oomph and push to go fast when you need to, but without having the same materials used in like a carbon fiber plate shoe that are going to wear out super duper quick. For my Speedwork, I'm not generally wearing a nylon plate. Instead, you could choose something that's just a very light shoe that mimics a racing shoe or could even go over to a racing shoe if you're someone who doesn't want to use a carbon fiber plate. I talked about the versatility of the Escalante, and this is great for those Speedwork days as well. My husband likes to choose the Nike Pegasus for his faster runs, and I know he definitely feels good using these and feels like he can hit those paces, which is really important on those Speedwork and Tempo days. All right, guys, so next we're going to get into the trail shoe. And if you're saying to yourself, well, I don't really run on any trails, I would highly recommend getting out on those trails, guys. They are super fun and will just make you enjoy running that much more. And I'm not talking about having to do these technical single track trails. I have this great trail area by my house that has wide trails, not super duper rocky, but they are fairly hilly, and so you do have to make sure that you are wearing a pair of trail running shoes. I'm always surprised at how many people I see not wearing trail running shoes, and that is just an accident waiting to happen. Okay? You really need the traction that a trail running shoe provides, so when you're looking for these, definitely be looking for the word trail. Some are going to have some deeper lugs on the bottom than others. If you are going on more of that technical trail, they should have more lugs on the bottom, whereas you can pick something a little bit lighter if you are going on something that's just more like pebbly and dirt and things like that. But these are the Lone Peak 4.5. They have a newer model out than this, and there are lots of trail shoes out there that you can be looking for. All right, guys, so let's get into the fun one. So this is the racing shoe, okay? And from 5K to marathon, less and more, you want to be picking a shoe that's going to help you go fast, right? So for these, I have two carbon fiber plated shoes. This is the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent 2, and this is the Saucony Endorphin Pro. So this is the first edition. They are out with the second edition, whereas this is the most current model of the Nike. Now, do you have to have a carbon fiber plate shoe for racing? Absolutely not. Will it make you go faster? I would say there's not a perfect science to it, but probably at least just a little bit. I got a PR in my 5K with the Endorphin Pro, and I got a PR in my marathon in this shoe. And I will link both of those videos up there in case you want to check out those races that I did videos on. If you're not wanting to shell out the money for a carbon fiber plated shoe because they are more expensive, although I will say you can definitely find deals on older models now that they're making more and more of them. But if you don't want to do that, I totally understand, and I raced for a very long time in the Ultra Escalante. A good option maybe instead would be something like the Ultra Escalante Racer. I've heard really good things about the Skechers Razor 3. There are great racing options out there that don't have a carbon fiber plate. So keep your eye out for them. Just think light, and you want to feel light on your feet. So anytime you guys can get to a local running store and try these shoes on, the better, because then you'll be able to know right out of the box, this is really cushiony. It feels like a recovery shoe, or this is in the middle. This would be a great daily trainer. Oh, this has a carbon fiber plate. Well, then I would save this for my races. And the reason you want to save the carbon fiber plate shoes, guys, for your racing, yes, you can wear them for your Speedwork once in a while just to break them in and get used to them. but the foam is going to wear out so much more quickly. And really, because you're shelling out the money for these, you want to be able to save them for those most important times, which is trying to get those PRs in those races, right? All right, guys, so if you're watching through this and you're feeling good about these shoes, then go out and start adding to your rotation. But if you're watching and you're saying, I don't need 5 pairs of shoes, or I can't spend the money on that right now, I totally get it. And if you're someone who's running just a few times a week, you really don't necessarily need all of those shoes. However, I will say you should be rotating between at least 2 shoes and not wearing the same shoes from back-to-back days. So I would recommend having a daily trainer, such as these. Maybe you're having something that's a very versatile shoe, such as these. You also want to make sure that you have a really good cushioned recovery shoe. And because you have something that's a little bit more versatile, you could use those for races as well. Otherwise, if you want to add in a 3rd pair of shoes, I would pick a carbon fiber plated shoe or a shoe that's very light and great for racing. All right, guys, if you have any questions about my rotation or any shoe recommendations, please place them in the comments below. Thanks for joining me, and I will catch you guys in the next video.